And welcome. My name is Lindsay Barton, and I am a program manager at Junior Achievement. Junior Achievement is a nonprofit organization that inspires and prepares young people to succeed in a global economy. And how we do that is by offering programs that teach students about financial literacy, work and career readiness, and entrepreneurship. Today, I'm going to talk to you about one of our programs called JA, It's My Job. This is a program that prepares you and teaches you about key interpersonal skills necessary to get started in a workplace, from introducing yourself to coworkers, acting and speaking in a professional way, and active listening. Today, I'm going to cover interviewing for a job. Throughout this lesson, there will be a variety of activities. So let's get started. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average American holds 10 different jobs before they're 40, and that number is expected to increase. When you consider that you aren't going to get every job that you apply for, you start to realize that you're going to apply to a lot of jobs and fill out a lot of applications, write a lot of different cover letters, and go on a lot of interviews. So it pays to know how to do it right. So let me tell you about my first job. One of my first jobs was getting a job at a hotel, and how I learned about that job was just walking up to the front desk of the hotel and asking them if they were hiring. And then they gave me a paper application, and I took it home and I completed it that night and then took it back the very next day. I prepared for the interview by gathering a list of common questions and practicing them out loud and even in front of a mirror. So having a job requires getting a job, and it's important to prepare well, like I did, by practicing your answer to questions on applications and interviews. Your goal when you apply for a job is to present yourself as someone who has the potential to do the job well. That means you need to be able to explain how your work and life experiences are relevant to that job. All right, now let's get started with our first activity. Please take out your brag sheet. So I know you've been told that it's not polite to brag, but when it comes time to find a job, you want to promote yourself. So this brag sheet is going to become like your resume. You're going to create this as you prepare to find a job. So a brag sheet is a list of your life achievements, key experiences, and employment. So, what are some things about yourself that make you proud and that might make your teachers, your job supervisors, or even your coaches proud, and your parents? So, as you begin to fill out this brag sheet in a few moments, let me highlight a couple of examples that you might put down for the extracurricular activities section. You could highlight your experience with your sports or arts or any sort of leadership positions that you've held. Down in the honors and awards section, maybe you could put down any community or academic awards that you've received. Or how about notable personal experience? How about if you've overcome a challenge? You could note that in this section. So I want you to now take about 10 minutes and fill out your own personal brag sheet, and then we'll come back. All right, thank you so much for completing your brag sheet. Now, I encourage you to continue updating your brag sheet over time as you continue to gain additional skills and experience. All right, let's get started with our next activity called From Profile to Interview. For this activity, you will need the handout labeled From Profile to Interview and the brag sheet from the first activity that we completed. In this activity, you will have the opportunity to practice your answers to some common interview questions. So let's get started. So if you're applying to a first job, the employer may have seen your profile online, but likely doesn't know many things about you. So talking about yourself in an interview, whether it be over the phone or face to face, it helps employers understand whether you are the right person for the job. Interviewers want to hear you describe your job experiences. They want to understand how what you have done relates to the skill and personal qualities needed for their business. So think about your life experiences and how they've prepared you for the workplace. Let's say you've been playing on your school's baseball or softball team since 6th grade. How might that prepare you for a job in a sporting goods store, selling gear to parents or kids that need gear for their own baseball teams? Now, you might say you have knowledge of school requirements, knowledge about sports equipment, or the ability to share your experience about what worked or didn't work for you to motivate additional purchases. So now, let's say you're interviewing for the job at the sporting goods store and the interviewer asks you, "Why should I hire you over another applicant?" How would you answer? Now here you could talk about how your personal experience with the sport qualifies you to answer the questions about gear with confidence. So now for this next activity, like I said, you will need your brag sheet and the From Profile to Interview handout. You will practice using information from your brag sheet to answer the questions in an interview. You can either practice on your own in front of a mirror or maybe even record yourself, or you can practice with a family member. So what I need you to do now is choose a job from the list on the handout to interview for. Be sure to use the information from your profile to give examples when you give your answers. So now take a couple of moments and complete your activity. All right, let's get started with our next activity called Why Are You the Right Person? So now for this activity, please bring out the handout called Why Are You the Right Person? Okay, so before you go in any interview, review your skills and experiences to make sure you'll be able to highlight what makes you the right candidate for the job. Think about your skills and experiences in the context of the specific employer conducting the interview. Prepare for all interviews by learning about the company and anticipating questions so you can explain why you're right for the job. Interviewers will ask you to put your experience into context. For example, they will ask you to describe a challenge you had, how you overcame it, and what you learned from the experience. Practice telling brief stories about yourself that relate to your specific skills. Be prepared to discuss these key areas during interviews: teamwork, collaboration, working independently, adapting to change, describing your strengths, and describing your weaknesses. But be sure that when you're describing your weaknesses, that you frame this as meeting and overcoming those weaknesses. Now take a look at the common interview questions on the Why Are You the Right Person handout. In a moment, you will develop answers to these common questions, but here are a few tips before you get started. For the question, "Tell me about your strength," think about a personal skill or achievement such as math, writing, or a volunteer award. Be prepared to describe it in a way that makes it relevant to the job. Now, for the question, "Tell me about your weaknesses," this is an opportunity to describe how you successfully face challenges and adversity. Think about something that could be considered a weakness, such as a fear of public speaking or procrastination. Then tell about a time when this attribute worked against you. Finally, explain how you are working to improve or have already improved. You want to show a commitment to personal and professional growth. So it's okay to brag about your accomplishments in an interview, but you should always keep in mind what is relevant to the interviewer. For example, if you're being interviewed for a fast food job, don't tell the interviewer your goal is to be a famous basketball player. Now it's your turn to develop answers to the questions. Good luck. Let's move on to our final activity, mock interviews. For this activity, you will need your interview etiquette handout and your mock interviews scenario cards. All right. Now, a job interview can be challenging, but with preparation and a positive attitude, odds of landing a job increase exponentially. Let's say you have an interview at a local store. How would you dress? How would your interview outfit be different from what you wear to school? The interviewer might be looking for a few things. For example, nice but not formal clothes, such as collared shirts with no graphics and also tucked in, perhaps dark or khaki pants, but no jeans, no tank tops, no shorts, and no short dresses or short skirts. They're also going to be looking for closed-toe shoes, clean clothes with no rips or tears. The interviewer will be forming an impression on you within the first 7 seconds. That means you want to dress to impress. It's also important to have good grooming, including wearing deodorant, having fresh breath, and a clean face. Would this be a good way to behave on a job interview? Hey, I know I'm late, but whatever. You should just hire me because I need the money and I'm cool. What's wrong with this approach? You might be thinking, well, that person is being really unprofessional. They're late. They have very casual speech. They're being rude. And they're not letting the interviewer take the lead in the interview. So you need to present yourself as someone who will fit into the organization and not require close monitoring to make sure you behave correctly. So you should do the following, right? Act and speak appropriately and clearly, show up on time, make eye contact, shake the interviewer's hand, address the person as Mr. or Mrs. and last name, unless they specifically told you to use their first name. Let the interviewer lead the conversation. Listen carefully to the interviewer. Respond appropriately, taking a moment to gather your thoughts if needed. Be honest and remember to smile. So for this activity, like I said, you will need the mock interview scenario cards, and if you haven't done so already, please cut out each card and place the cards face down on the table. Now, you can either conduct a mock interview on your own or with a family member. So you will randomly select interview questions and spend about 4 to 5 minutes answering the questions. Remember to speak clearly and make eye contact. So ready, set, go. All right, now it's time for a wrap up. Remember that your personal, academic, and work experience come together to make you the person that you are. No matter what job you apply for, you surely have something in your background that makes you a strong candidate. Before you sit down for an interview, think about your strengths, skills, and what you love doing, and compare them to the job so you can tell the interviewer why you're the right person. Thank you for spending your time with me. Now good luck on those interviews.